Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Ascalise, the Inventress. My business is Inventing A to Z. At Inventing A to Z, I work with clients to take their products from concept to fruition, from a napkin idea all the way to the marketplace and everything in between, the right way. If you want to contact me, email me, lisa@inventingatoz.com. My website, inventingatoz.com. Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Ascalise, the Inventress. Welcome to the Inventress podcast. You know, every week I have phenomenal people on, but today I have to tell you, I have the most magnificent person on ever. She is a great friend of mine, very, very good friend of mine for many, many years. She's a radio show host. She's an actress extraordinaire. She's an extraordinary person. Welcome, Maggie Linton. This morning, I am so excited to have a really good friend of mine on of many, many years to this show. I don't even know what to do with myself. I'm literally jumping out of my skin. It's been such a long time since we've connected face to face like this. Great friend, love everything about her. She's a radio host. She's an actress. She's a superstar. She's been on Sirius XM radio. She's had her own radio show and now starting another podcast, Sharing the Journey with Maggie Linton. Welcome, Maggie, to the Inventress podcast.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. It's always good to chat with you, Lisa. That's for sure. You know, I miss actually being up close to get those hugs, though, and from you and Phil both. But it's always a pleasure to be with you because we put out a lot of positive vibes, and that's what it's really all about. You know?
This is so wonderful. Yes, we do. We've shared that for so many years. I was trying to think back to when I started going on your show. You started inviting me to Sirius XM radio. I don't even know. Prior to 2014, that was the first conference.
Yeah. I'll tell you, my whole thing with my show was to help, kind of like with you, help lift people up, make them smarter. When they got through with my show, not only did I want them to have fun, but I wanted them to be smarter and to think about how they could incorporate the things that we talked about into their own lives. And that's really what it's all about. And that's what you want to do. You move forward. It's not looking back. I was talking to a friend last night and she was going on and on and on about all this stuff from, 15, 20, 30 years ago. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't hold on to this stuff. You got to let it go. We got to go forward. That's why it's like, it's like they say when you're in a car, that the front part, is and the rear view mirror is very small. That's what you got to remember.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Move forward and keep it moving. Keep it moving forward.
That's right.
Keep on growing.
Yeah.
I love what you said about educating and
Yes.
helping people. I have to tell you, you've been such a wonderful source of education, television and radio education for me. Because when I started coming on your show, that was really my first stint in radio.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
You handled it very well.
Did a couple of radio shows, but your show was consistent and it really helped me hone my craft. Not that I was ever planning on having my own podcast either. Who knew, right?
Yeah,
Who knew back then?
Resilience, that's what we are.
Absolutely.
If something doesn't work out the first time, then you go ahead and do something else. It's just like when XM said, bye-bye, I said, okay, what am I going to do? Well, right then we were in the process of building a home and I had a lot of freelance work and things like that. But as I ended last year, I started saying to myself, what do I really want to do? And what I really wanted to do was to be able to reach out to people again. And the funniest thing happens, it's like once you get back on the journey that you're supposed to be on, the doors that you thought were going to be hard to open just begin to swing open. I had 3 publicists call me in 1 week that I had not talked to in almost 3 years.
That's incredible. Well, that's you, Maggie.
Are you listening? God's saying, are you listening? And I said,
That's
yeah,
right.
I am, So it's
That's
March
right.
15th. That's when I'm going to journey out again.
Okay, so good. So your new show airs March 15th. That's
Uh-huh.
coming up. That's coming
Right.
up.
Right.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope I get to be on your podcast.
Oh, of course you will. No doubt about that. You know that because you're one of those positive people who wants to help people move ahead and not just constantly look back. Because, I tell people all the time, I learn something new every day, Lisa.
Yes.
Every single day, I learn something new. And with that, like today, I was doing a new recipe.
Mhm.
And it was a cabbage with smoked sausage and
Ooh.
bacon and different kinds of peppers. And I
Ooh.
thought, well, maybe I should make some cornbread too. So I went upstairs and made, I got some cornbread going because, my husband and son, he's coming over for dinner tonight. It's like I want them to be able to eat whenever they want to because I don't get off until later. So,
Well, I'm coming over. You're only what, 4 hours away?
yeah, only 4 hours.
On my way.
Listen, we had a friend drop by and he kept smelling it. He says, think I could get some of that to go? And I said, yeah, Chris, you can. And so I gave it to him and his wife for, it was fun.
So Maggie, I want to ask you, because nobody else, a lot of people don't know. Many people
Mhm.
listening do know who you are and now seeing. Thank
Yeah.
God for video now. I
Yeah.
love it. So Maggie, how long ago did you start in radio?
I started in radio in January of 1972. I was working for the University of Kansas. Well, actually, what happened is I had a roommate. I had changed majors 4 times. And I really started out school wanting to be a civil rights attorney because my dad and mom were very involved in the civil rights movement. In fact, my mom and sister went to the original March on Washington, rode out from Kansas, which is where I'm from.
Mhm.
But I said, I don't know. She said, well, take a sports broadcasting class with me. I said, okay. So I went in and, went to the sports broadcasting class. And as it turns out, 3 weeks later, they called me and they said, we really like your voice. You seem to have a good knowledge of sports. Would you be willing to do the noon and 6 o'clock sports? And I said, yes, I'd love to. So I went and rearranged some classes. And at the end of that 6-week stint, they offered me a job and the rest is history.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And I started working at the University of Kansas radio station, did that for 2 years, went to Wichita, Kansas, became the first woman sports anchor on television for weekend sports, well, just sports in general. In Wichita, left there, moved to St. Louis, worked for KPLR, which was an independent station, and worked with them for 2 years, did sports for them, and then moved to Baltimore, worked there at WBAL for a year, and then moved into Washington and started doing sports and working as a producer for a noonday show called Panorama. And I've been in TV, radio, broadcasting, all kinds of stuff ever since then.
And this is your love. This is your passion. You got to do it.
Yeah, I have to. It's in my bones.
And you're doing it. And
It
you're doing
is. It is in my bones.
and this is what I'd like to share with the inventors and entrepreneurs out there who have that spirit, those artists out there who have that burning desire to do the thing that they really want to do. Just do it. They just got to do it.
Yeah, but sometimes, when you say just do it, you need the guidance that you provide. Because a lot of people, we've seen the things on TV where they said, send us your invention. We're going to help you do that. And I go, no, don't do that. And you hear about the stories from people who have taken that route. Their inventions was stolen, tweaked a little bit, and then they beat them to the marketplace and they're still sitting there not having accomplished. And
you're right. That. No, it's a shame. And that's what your platform offers also, Maggie. You give people a platform to talk about exactly what it is. And you share their information, which is super important.
Right.
Very, very important. So, but thank you for that too. Yes. Come to me if you have inventions, but this is about Maggie today. And Maggie's podcast. We're talking about you, girl. I know what I wanted to ask you. The excitement that your first big job that you received, how did it feel? I want to get to the core of your feeling, your gut. How did that feel being offered a job that you really that you really wanted, and you knew
Well,
that you were going to position yourself there for a long time?
I can tell you when the I'll use my Wichita situation when I went down there. I initially went down and they were offering me a job to do news. And I knew I didn't want to do news. Something in the back of my mind said, no, I don't want to do news because you don't know when it's going to begin and end. With a sporting event, you know when it begins, 2 or 3 hours later, it's going to be over and you can go on to the next thing. We can talk about what happened, but it isn't ad nauseum, like all the stuff that goes on in the news nowadays. And I turned him down. I said, I'm sorry, I just can't do it. I said, but if you have an opening for something else, talk shows, sports, whatever, then call me back. Well, 2 weeks later, they did. And I became community affairs director, which helped lay the platform, the base for me doing talk shows. So I did a talk show once a week, and then I would come on with features on the noonday newscast.
Mm-hmm.
So I got an idea, and then I did weekend sports. So I had a chance to do everything, and that was so much fun. But when you look at what I really wanted to do, it was doing the talk show on Sirius XM. And I was there the day XM turned the switch, and a friend and I were talking the other day. 150 listeners. And a lot of people do not know that our original launch date was September 12th, 2001.
Wow.
Okay. That was supposed to be our original date for launch. And because of what happened on September 11th, we wound up, kind of backing it up. But we were on the air on the 11th with 150 listeners. But always my dream was to have my own talk show. Mm-hmm. So, I've kind of journeyed all the way through XM. And then when Sirius came in, by the time they came in, I was director of the book channel, which is how I got to meet a lot of authors and talk to them. I'm talking
very interesting people you've met.
Oh, yeah. You think of Jack Reacher, Lee Child, and Beverly Jenkins, who writes the different series. And I mean, there are just so many people I've met. And I was watching a show the other day, and Hill Harper was on, and he would come on whenever he was in town because he had gone to school with President Obama, but he'd swing by. And Will Downing, and I can never forget the October 31st of 2015, I had George Clinton on for an hour.
Oh my God.
By Mick Fleetwood.
Oh my God.
That was the kind of fun I used to have. But I can remember as the book channel, when the new program director got in for all of the, I said to him, I said, if this book channel thing doesn't work out, you know what I really want? I said, I'd really like to do a talk show. And he says, okay. And one day he came to me and he says, I have good news and bad news. I said, oh, okay. I said, what's the bad news? He said, we're going to cancel the book channel. And I said, well, shouldn't we talk to Kim, the lady I was working with, Kim Alexander? And he says, it's only going to be bad news for her. He said, but it's good news for you. And he says, that talk show you've been talking about? I said, yeah. He says, you got it. I said, oh
my gosh.
I had so many ideas.
What a feeling.
Yeah.
What a feeling. This is what I'm talking about. What was that feeling?
I was joyful. I called the first two people I called. Number one, my sister, who had known my dream for so long. And number two was Bob, my husband. And they were excited. And they said, so what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to talk to anybody I can and everybody I can. And that's what I did. And I wanted to promote people, like every year. And this, the old saying, Christmas in July.
Yes.
Well, every July, I would have a week of entrepreneurs. So people could, get in advance and help people along. And then right around Thanksgiving time, I also had a week of entrepreneurs, and in particular, Black entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So I could help promote them. And, I had people call me back, said, oh my God, my sales are skyrocketing. One lady I had on, she had kind of an online clothing kind of thing, like ThreadUp does now, but only she was doing it, you know, again, supporting Black entrepreneurs and, you know, sewers and things like that.
Mhm.
And she said that she was getting ready to shut her site down. And after being on, she said her whole business exploded and it made such a big difference. So
You
that
did
was
that
the
for a
kind
lot
of
of
joy.
people.
Yeah,
You did
that's
that
the
for a lot
kind
of
of joy
people.
I want. Yeah,
I remember Maria Driver. You had quite a few. You had
yeah,
Maria Driver on.
yeah,
Her sales went crazy.
yeah.
You know, just isn't that something what you can do? Just to, you
Mhm.
know, just to invite people on to be able to share their products can change their whole business savvy because
Right.
they're now listening to who wants what,
That's
etc.
right.
And you're
Yeah,
able to raise them up and lift them up. And I love that, Maggie. And
yeah.
this is what you continue to do.
Yes.
You can continue to do this. I have to ask you another question.
Uh-huh.
You know, this is not an interview, it's a conversation. You know that.
Right.
But I have to ask you these questions so
Yes,
the
ma'am.
listeners will know. So for your community, I mean, you've always been forward moving and going to radio and television and doing even movies. How did your community feel, your mom? Because you're a strong Black woman who makes changes and everybody doesn't know they can do this, Maggie.
Right.
Everybody
Well,
does not know.
the strength came from my mom and dad.
Mhm.
You know, my mom um, basically was raised in Memphis, Tennessee by her uncle and
Mhm.
aunt who always lifted her up. And at 16, she became what was then known as a governess for a military family, a colonel and
Mhm.
his wife. And they gave my mom an education that meant so much. And the importance of that education was making sure she knew how to read. She understood the arts
Mhm.
and things along those lines. And it turned out to be the best thing that could have ever happened to her. My dad literally had an eighth grade education, but he got into the Army
Mhm.
and he was a voracious reader. And he always believed that he was put on this earth to help people be better.
Oh
And
my
he
God.
wound up, my mom wound up going to beauty school, Madam C.J. Walker beauty school.
Is
I
that where
have
she
her
went?
diploma. I have her diploma up in the bedroom that, you know, you were in.
Yes.
And my dad's opened his own barbershop. And she graduated in 1944, and he opened up his barbershop after he got out of the Army in 1954. And
That's
they
amazing.
always looked forward. They were always involved in civil rights. My dad, even when he passed, was state treasurer for the NAACP
Mhm.
for the state of Kansas. And they just were there.
That's easy to get
Our vacations every summer were going to the NAACP conventions.
from.
Now that sounds like, wow, okay. But my mom would take us, if we were in Chicago, then we went to the Shed Museums and we went to plays and did music, you know, different things like that in order to constantly be enlightening. But when it came time for the key speakers, we were there. My dad made sure we were there listening to Roy Wilkins, listening to I'm just drawing a blank on names right now, but they made sure, Vernon Jordan, who just passed
Oh
away,
yes. Oh
you
my
know,
gosh. May he rest in peace.
right. And, Andrew Young and
Mhm.
those kind of people were there all the time.
You got exposure.
I
You got
got
the
exposed
exposure.
to being the best that we
Mhm.
could be, you know?
Yes. Yes.
And I never felt less than
Mhm.
because I grew up in an integrated neighborhood.
Mhm.
There were Catholics, Jews, Protestants, Baptists, Pentecost, Methodists. We were AME. You know, we all got along. And I went to integrated schools my whole life. You know,
Yeah.
there weren't
That
as
makes
many
a
in my
difference.
grade school,
Mhm.
but once I got to seventh grade, man, you know, and I have friends that live all over the country and all over the world.
Well, that's why you do what you do, Maggie. You're
Yeah,
able to interact and comfortably because you're comfortable in your own skin, number one.
yeah,
And your parents, thank God, brought you into communities where you didn't know the difference. People
that's
were
right.
people, right? Everybody
That's
was,
right.
you gathered around, you
Mhm.
broke bread, and you were just people.
Right. Well, I
And
can remember my dad taking a stand. They opened up an A&P, which I'm not sure
you
everybody.
opened A&P?
They opened up. No, he didn't, but an A&P was opening in our town.
Uh-huh.
And my dad went to, the people there, and he says, I'm sorry, but we as Black people cannot support this unless there is at least one Black cashier here. And there turned out to be a lot more. And he really, he was the kind of person that stepped out and said, okay, he'd call you on it. This is what we have to have in order to succeed.
And that's what we need that. We need people to speak up and speak out, right?
That's right. That's right. Very true.
Say it. You feel a certain way, you got to say it.
Yeah.
And that's happening now, fortunately. We're finally, it looks like we're coming together again.
Yeah.
We thought we had unity before. Unfortunately, all of the stuff that happened with COVID and Black Lives Matter and all of those unfortunate areas brought us to a place now that I think we are communing once again.
Well, I don't know if you've seen, there's a new documentary that's out called The Church. The Black Church, and it's This Is My Story, This Is My Song. And it's by Henry Louis Gates. It's on PBS. If you have a chance to see it, see it.
I will.
And the reason why, and I say this to everybody that's out there listening, because it's more than just a history about the Black church. It's a history of us, as so much of Henry Louis Gates Jr.'s material is. This one really hits home, but it also talks about the suppression that white America has tried putting on us for so long, and how we still made it through. As they kept saying, we're still here.
We are still here.
Continue being here, because this is our America too.
We are resilient.
Yes.
We are smart. We are resilient. We are creative, and we don't stop.
That's very true.
We keep on pressing forward. There are always going to be people who are going to try to hold you down and press you down, but can't happen. You got to keep on getting up and keep on moving forward.
Always.
And no, this is what I love about you, Maggie, and sharing, and just I want to continue to do this and have you back on the show over and over again. Okay. So let's talk about your podcast, Sharing the Journey with Maggie. So what are you going to be talking about on your show? Who are the types of people you're going to have on?
I'm going to start out with another man who is such an optimist, and he is my favorite numerologist, and it is Lloyd Strayhorn, because I figure I'm going to kick it out of the park with him, because he's going to tell people a lot about what's going on in the world. He uses astrology, numerology, and a number of other things in order for everything to come together. And then I've got a lot of different books that are coming up. There's a wonderful book out called I Didn't Know You Were Black. And it's written by the man who is the president of the University of Richmond. I cannot think of his name right now because I'm kind of reading the book. So I'll be having him on. And then I have my friends, John Hope Bryant, his book, Up From Nothing. And John's book, I definitely will be having John on. And I don't know if you ever watch a ID channel. There's a gentleman on named Joe Kenda. And he goes back and looks at all of his old cases. He used to be a detective in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And so I will have Joe on, because he's kind of he's built up a following, and he's really quite interesting. But, I'm going to go back to all my old favorite authors. I don't know if you've heard, but Lee Child is going to kind of not write as much as he did. So, and a lot of people, there's a lot of crap out there about why he isn't anymore. So I'm going to call Lee and say, hey, let's be on, talk about why you decided to walk away a little bit, that kind of stuff. Right. And of course you.
Oh, thank you. I really look forward to that, Maggie. So you're excited about this new podcast that you're doing.
But I'm also going to, deal a lot with, I want to have people be more aware of their health. I look at so many people, you see people out there who just are so obese. And then they say, oh, well, they died of COVID. But you look at so many of the people who died of COVID are people who were in such bad health. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people I know keep saying, oh, I've got COVID weight. Well, I've lost COVID weight. I've lost 35 pounds.
Oh, good.
I'm feeling really good about
fabulous.
It. Thank you.
You look fabulous.
And I didn't work hard at it. It was just something I made up my mind I was going to do. I do 90% of my own cooking anyway. but we have to rethink about what we think about ourselves.
Yes.
And then, of course, finances. We've got to be financially aware, and how important it is for us to be financially aware.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things John talks about a lot is finances. So.
It is so important, Maggie. I had a class earlier, and it was inventing fast track. And one of the things I like to talk about all the time is people ask me how do I get money for a patent? How do I get money for a patent? Well, you get money for a patent by saving. Remember, I used to talk about piggy bank on your show all the time.
Mm-hmm,
piggy
mm-hmm.
bank. Well,
That's
it's pretty much the same. You
right.
separate your money, you put some aside, and you plan for what it is you want to do. Put yourself on a budget and plan for what it is you want to achieve.
That's right.
And then, of course, you find the right investors, right? And financial planners to help you walk through it, because we don't.
But let me tell you something, Lisa.
Right. Yes.
If you have a good credit score, it's easier to find investors. And if your credit score is 500 and something,
Mm-hmm.
and you're wondering why when you go in to buy a car, they're charging you 15 to 20% on that loan, it's because you're a risk.
Pay your
You
bills.
have shown them just by being there that you have not learned how to manage your money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one thing, again, mom and dad used to always say, pay yourself first. Make sure you got something in the bank. I remember my mom, she would go and buy, whenever the city was building something, she'd go and buy municipal bonds because our city was pretty stable. But a lot of people don't even understand what municipal bonds are all about.
Mm-hmm.
Municipal bonds are the kind of thing you are investing in your city, like a new stadium's being built. Well, believe me, your municipal bonds are going to be paying you a lot more, and I mean a lot more than a bank bond or a savings bond is going to be paying. So,
oh my gosh, savings bond. I used to every week, I would buy a $50 savings bond and put it in in the bank or whatever. They took it, and you would have 6 months, cash it in. Are there still savings bonds? Are we still doing that?
Oh yeah, they're still out there. They paid almost nothing, but yes.
Nothing. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, back in the day, they did.
Mm-hmm.
So every week I would save these savings bonds, and then at time for kids go to school or whatever, cash them in, make a nice profit.
Well,
that's when the interest rates were decent.
Oh yeah. I don't know what they are now, but there are so many other ways to save.
Mm-hmm.
But and it's again, it's easy. It's like picking up a magazine. My favorite, Kiplinger's Money Magazine. Right. But there's some great books out. John's book, Up From Nothing. He talks about entrepreneurship and things along those lines. And he's got another great one out called How the Poor Can Save America. So lots of good ones out there.
How the Poor Can Save America. I'm going to be very busy on the beach this summer reading.
Yeah. There's some good ones out there.
Lots of great material, and I plan on doing that. And that's coming soon. And I hope you come here and let's hang out on the beach, Maggie.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's time. It's almost time.
I was going to say, you like the beach. You get dark
it.
in the summertime.
I love it.
You glow.
I will stay there 12 hours. I was this past summer, last year, I sat on the beach. I'd go from 7:30 in the morning until 7:30 at night, have my umbrella, have my sunscreen, have everything, just read and meditate.
Right.
And it just takes me away.
Yeah.
It takes me away. It's like being on vacation because I'm right here, right by the shore.
Exactly. Yes, you are.
No better place to be. So I want to share that with you. You got to come hang out with me for a couple of days.
I did my vacation up here.
Let's do that.
Yes.
So now listen, this is what I'm doing at the end of every show. I used to ask people those typical questions,
Hang on a second. Before you go though, I found, I was at a friend's house in California a few years ago, and she and I have known each other since 1964, the International Girl Scout Roundup in Farragut, Idaho. And she was from California, I was from Kansas. But I found this, she had a plaque on the wall. And I have to say this, life is a gift, open it. A joy, share it. A game, play it. an experience, live it, a dream, make it come true.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And
Right.
we can,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, this is the way we need to live every single day. Because we actually can take those negatives and turn them around.
Yes.
See the positive in every single thing that you do every day, no matter what happens. And
Very
I
true.
love that, Maggie. I love it. So with that being said, I have a question for
Mhm.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you say to entrepreneurs who are about to give up because they just feel like they can't do it anymore, they can't press forward anymore, and they're just ready to wash their hands and say, you know what, I just can't do it? What do you say to those entrepreneurs?
I tell them to try and keep going forward. And if they need to pick up a book, like I get up every morning and read some, a few inspirational things. Like you said, do a little meditation. I say some prayers before I even put my feet on the ground, getting out of bed. Um, you never, are you going to decide to be in the same spot 6 months from now? Or are you going to be someplace different because you pressed forward? And that's really the truth. It's kind of like me. It's like, okay, I dusted it off. I said, it's time for me to get rolling again.
Mm-hmm.
I had this time where I've become a licensed life insurance broker. I'm, doing traffic and weather for iHeart radio stations and things like that. But it's like, what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
What else do I want to do? How can I help lift up?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what, this is all about. Keep pressing forward. You may get a lot of no's, but you only need one yes. I
That's
can't tell you how many talk shows I applied to host, but I only needed that one yes to make a difference. And for 3.5 years, it was some of the most fun times I've ever had in my life.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that. I absolutely love that. And it's so true. You got to keep on pressing forward. Everybody, I give people 5 minutes of their own little pity party. You
Yeah.
can pity party yourself for 5 minutes, but keep it moving.
And also hang out with people who are going to encourage you.
Yes.
If somebody is, oh, you can't do that.
Uh-huh.
If that's all then guess what? Those people get put over into the acquaintance pile, and you look for real friends who
That's
are
right.
going to lift you up and help roll along with you. That's what
Yes.
you need to
Yes.
do. Yeah.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And, so I'm going to ask you what's your song, Maggie? What's your song?
Oh,
Remember this?
yeah. My song, my favorite is still "Can We Change the World" by Mesa Leak.
Love it. I think we
And
did that for you at AOE.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back, if you listen to those words, and she wrote it 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was looking up, it's like, can we change the world? Can we make it better? And in the end, when she says that last time, she says, when we change the
Yes,
world
indeed.
and we make it better. It
That's
was no
right.
longer a question, but it was an answer
I
to
love it.
yes, we can. And so that's my little song that runs through my head all the time by Mesa.
I love it. I love it. And let's do a happy dance together.
Yeah.
That's how we end. We end with a happy dance.
Yeah,
Happy.
definitely.
Maggie, it is
Always
always
happy.
a pleasure seeing your beautiful face. I miss you so
Same
much.
here. Same
Love
here.
you. Want to hug you. Hugs.
Yeah.
We're going to do that this summer. I'm feeling it.
Okay. Yeah. Because I've signed up every way I can to get a shot. So,
Oh,
once I get the shot, it's like I start moving a little bit more and getting around. I haven't carried fear with me. I've carried the thing that everything's going to be all right.
it is going to be all right.
Yeah.
It is.
Every,
Yeah. We can't allow that fear to snatch who we are.
no, we
Brought
can't.
a lot of people down and really wreaked havoc on their mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't been affected by that, nor has my husband.
God bless you.
We've stayed positive,
Mhm.
and you can't do certain things, but I've done other things to keep myself positive. A lot of reading, a lot of preparation to come.
Yeah, yeah. And you live in a beautiful space. You've got a lot of you've got beautiful things happening.
Yeah.
You've got Bob's garden,
Mm-hmm.
succulents and all that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We've got a lot of real beauty around us. So, I look out across the street from me and there's nothing but trees. And I look to the side, there's nothing but trees. And, it's been a great time.
Let
You know?
nature take you away, girl.
Yes, I do.
Maggie, so how do we find you now on sharing your journey?
Well, it's going to be on Spreaker. It will also be on YouTube. It'll be on Soundcloud and a couple of other places. I'm still lining up everything, and I'm in the process right now of designing a new website. But all that's to come. Because in the past, I've always had somebody else do it, and I decided if I want to do, put on something new, I don't want to have to call somebody and say, "Well, go here to pick up this and add that." It's like I can go and do it myself,
Good for
and
you.
that's what I'm going to do.
Good for you, Maggie.
Yeah.
All things are possible, honey.
Yeah. I go to YouTube. I learn how to do a lot of stuff.
All right, that's secondary education, right?
Yes, it is.
So,
Yeah, always
sharing,
learn.
so sharing the journey with Maggie Linton, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Sharing the journey with Maggie Linton.
Yeah.
Everybody check out Maggie Linton's show. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm deciding now if I'm going to do it once a week, 3 times a week. I don't think I'm going to do it every day, but maybe 3 times a week.
You got to enjoy your retirement, Maggie.
I do. But
Yeah,
I'm a person who has to be busy. It's like I was over last week at this time, I was over at my church peeling apples and getting casseroles ready for the homeless that we care for and, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It's what we decide to do with our lives.
That's right.
And I decide to stay positive and make a difference.
You choose, honey. You choose.
Choice.
By the grace of God, you can do all things.
That's true.
Right?
That's very
Maggie Linton, I love you so much. I love you.
Too, Lisa. Love you very much. And we're going to keep having people move forward.
Yes, we will. Thank you so much, sweetheart. I love having you on this podcast, and I can't wait to see you in person, and we can sit and talk like this, have a couple of glasses of wine, and
at least maybe a margarita in there too.
All right, sweetheart. You have a blessed rest of your day.
Thank you. And you do that too.
We'll talk soon, honey.
God bless. Love you.
I love you, honey. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was a fantastic interview with my good friend, Maggie Linton. Like I said, she's a superstar, and she really is. She's a phenomenal, phenomenal woman. Loved having her on the show, and she'll be back. She'll be back. But please watch. You can watch us on YouTube and listen to us on all major podcast platforms. And when you do, please make sure you rate, review, and subscribe. Most importantly, share. Definitely share. So listen, guys, I can't wait to see you again. Until then, just keep on lifting each other up 2 hands at a time. And sometimes you got to use that foot. Until next time, peace.